welcome, dear listeners, to The Haunted Narrator. Tonight, we delve into the chilling tale of a young man who uncovered a terrifying secret within a seemingly ordinary church. This is a story of forbidden gods, unholy rituals, and a love that defied the darkness. Prepare yourself for a journey into the unknown, where the line between reality and nightmare blurs. Keep your lights on and your faith close as we explore the unsettling account of "We Prayed to the Wrong God." Sit back, relax, and let the shadows of this tale envelop you. Remember, in the realm of the haunted narrator, nothing is as it seems. Let's begin.
I present these journals to you as a warning. There are churches that are indistinguishable from your Christian churches. Well, until you get to the inner circle, they pray to neither Yahweh nor Jesus, even though they say they do. They pray to someone whose name I can never write, a God who loves to make himself known, but because of forces even beyond him, it is quite difficult for him to do so. A God who can give those he loves whatever he wants, but only those he loves. This isn't a conspiracy of how elites secretly serve him, or how he sits in the background dictating every move. This is an account of how he's ruined my life. Forgive my arrogance in the following journal entries. Pride before the fall and all that. Welcome, losers. Today's a big day for me and you. For you, this is the start of how you get everything you want in life by reading my memoirs. And for me, this is the day I start my first and hopefully last romantic relationship with a certain beautiful girl named Kay Mackenzie. I won't go into too much detail about her because I'm sure you've heard of her, because I'm sure by the time you read this I'll be famous and so will she. She'll be married to me, duh. Anyway, here's the most important thing for you to know about the universe. This will change your life and make my memoir sell out. Read this slowly. Come close. I'll whisper this to you. The first commandment is the most overlooked. You shall have no other gods before me. It implies there are other gods, and oh boy does he love proving he's real. I'm not a fan of him for reasons you'll learn later, but you might be. There are two ways we know with 100% certainty he's real. So, this one's more like a party trick. If we try to say our God's name on camera, something will happen, and the name is never heard. This can be as simple as the camera losing audio for 1 second, or a deer wailing like it's been stabbed in the background to cover up the sound. I've heard both. If we try to write it, we get similar effects. Laptops shut down, ink spills, or the pencil lead splits and leaps right into the eye of the writer. I've seen it all. Now, here's what he does that's beyond a party trick. He's what I, to the anger of my friends, call a coupon honoring God. That means if you believe Yahweh or whoever did a miracle, any miracle, and go into one of my God's temples and tell him you have faith that Yahweh did it and state that you have faith that he can do the same, he'll do it just like that. You can be healed from cancer, legs growing back, and people being raised from the dead. I've seen it all. Where are these churches, you ask? Everywhere, really. You wouldn't spot a difference on the outside or inside on an average Sunday service. Only once you reach the inner circle is the true nature of the church revealed to you. There are some megachurches, mid-sized churches, and struggling small churches. The small churches believe they are small because they teach the true word and thus attract fewer people, and they disdain the bigger churches. The big churches don't think about the small churches until they need to give them money because they're dying. I'll let you decide who's the better church. I know many of you are asking, why would a church ever be poor if you could simply ask God for whatever you want? Well, we'll get to that later. I'll give you a list of churches in the back of this book, and you can either attend them and ask God for whatever or start a new holy war. Not my problem. I don't care either way as long as you paid for this book, which pays for my retirement. Now let me tell you about my God and my girl, because they're intertwined in this religion of mine. When I was 13, about 4 years ago, we had a special ceremony with our youth group. All of our youth group were driven by van to one of the temples. The churches are easy to find, but the temples where the real power is, they're hard to find. This one was out in a cornfield, isolated and alone. It was not a grand thing and was closer in appearance to a shack in the woods than a grand cathedral. We exited the bus to go to the temple in a silent single-file line. Talking without permission was an offense that resulted in physical punishment. We shivered in the rough wind and the cold drizzle of rain. Most of us kept our heads down to avoid the gaze of the high cornstalks. Silence was demanded, but fear was allowed, so our single file scurried and shook all the way to the temple. "Be seated," Sharon, our youth group leader, told us and went away to who knows where. We did as we were commanded. She did not tell us to be silent, but we understood. The wind beat on the tinted windows as if it was demanding to come in. It shook the whole poorly made temple. The red carpet that lined the auditorium danced in front of my eyes. If we looked at it too long, we would swear it was not solid, but a thick liquid, too thick for blood. The wooden pews groaned at any movement we would dare make. Many a kid has been beaten because their bench groaned too loud. Sharon did not mind it. She walked forward. Her heels did not clack against the carpet, but instead made a splashing sound as if she walked on a puddle. She dragged the kid behind her. "Oh no, no, no," I thought but didn't dare say. The kid was the food. I know the kid was drugged. He had to be. Anyone with any survival instincts would have ran from her. She strode forward with confidence. Perhaps this is why she wanted to work with kids. Perhaps this was her reward. She got to feel all of our God's presence and not want to shrivel away like we wanted to. All I could think was, no, 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 the closer they got. I didn't want to watch this, but I didn't want to be next. So I had to sit there, and I was supposed to keep my eyes open, but I couldn't manage that. I'm sorry I'm a coward, but I covered my eyes. It didn't feel right to see. That wasn't enough though. My eyes couldn't close tight enough. Bright orange light crept in them. I squeezed with every muscle in my body, and they couldn't go tighter. Pain swarmed in the middle of my head because of the effort. Then came his screams once he was in the fire. He was so confused. I heard a "what" in there and so many cries for help. I opened my eyes to see if she would. She kicked him with her heel, and he was pushed back into the flames. Then she laughed. Then they all laughed. And I felt sick because I didn't know what was funny. I didn't know the kid, which meant he wasn't part of the inner circle of the church. So we were told not to care about him or his safety. And that hurt me. For the past few months, I was having physical aches of pain at what I witnessed we did to unbelievers. It created a deep numbness within me for all things except me. How could I love my God or my people who would do such a thing? The other kids did not feel this way. I can't blame them, I guess. It worked out for them. They laughed and made fun of how he wiggled in the flames. They marveled at how you could see his skeleton. They mocked how loud he got, and they mocked his eventual silence. And then the flame went out, and it was quiet, except for one person's sniffles. Sniffles that soon grew into tears. Something that was frowned upon. Why should we pity something that was our God's will? The nervous girl from the front cried. She viciously wiped away tears from her face because she knew her tears were heinous, her empathy evil. She understood her own punishment would be coming. The other kids stared at her. That's what I hated the most. They didn't have the shame to turn away from her. No, they stared because they genuinely could not understand why she was crying, or they had the sick desire to enjoy her upcoming punishment. The girl could have saved herself from this punishment. She maybe could have avoided it if she pretended that her tears were about anything else. But she kept saying, "I'm sorry. I don't mean, it's just they were so young." As Sharon walked now, the world felt the weight of her steps. I felt it again. Again, I had to be a hopeless spectator to an ugly stomach-turning spectacle. Sharon's heels clacked against the ground, resolute to deliver a punishment. That girl was Kay Mackenzie, and that's the moment I knew I loved her. I grew numb because of this world we lived in. She didn't. I fell in love with the girl because she cared, even when she wasn't supposed to. Sharon delivered her punishment with malice. A swift smack to the face. You all hide your punishments on parts of the body that could be hidden. Our leaders punish us on our faces so we can be shamed. Sharon's mission was not to stop until Kay's face was swollen and purple and Kay's tears ceased. Now I had never done this and I don't think I could do it again, but I made myself cry to get Sharon's attention off of Kay. A loud wail, so Sharon had to clack her heels to me, smack me once, and then go back to Kay and keep going. Which to me is funny in a way. If you don't laugh you cry, right? Eventually, Sharon grew too tired and none of our faces became purple, just red. Every strike from Sharon was worth it because Kay and I became friends after. She is a small girl and her two front teeth are big like mine, and she talks too much in the opinion of everyone but me, and they say the same about me. And she gets depressed sometimes but won't tell anybody because like me that's not her role in life. We're here to make people laugh, and we would never burden anyone else with what makes us sad. Like me, she has a hard time expressing herself to people she's not close to, which is the saddest of tragedies for them and my saving grace, because if she did, they'd be hopelessly in love with her like me. That is the wonderful heart of Kay Mackenzie, the girl I will start dating tomorrow and then marry within the year. That's her, that's the girl I'd go to hell for. We will leave this God together, and I'll give her a life of peace where her empathy won't be punished.
Thank you for joining us on this eerie journey into the unknown. If you enjoyed tonight's story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to stay updated with more chilling tales from the haunted narrator. Have you ever experienced something that defied explanation? Share your story in the comments below. We may just feature it in a future episode. Until next time, keep your eyes open and your faith strong. You never know what might be lurking in the shadows. Good night and sweet dreams.